Google is one of the biggest and most powerful corporations on the planet, with access to almost all information on the internet.
This also means they have the power to decide what we can and cannot see. And today, we'll be talking about what we cannot.
A Russian app called the Smart Voting app was removed from Google Play on September 17th of 2021. Smart Voting was an app created by Alexei Navalny, an anti-corruption activist, lawyer, and eventual political prisoner in Russia, who mysteriously died in 2024 while in prison on extremism charges. He and his team had created the app for Russian voters to pick candidates who had the best chance of defeating those backed by the ruling party, United Russia, which Alexei described as a party of, quote, crooks and thieves. The app was a strategy to consolidate the opposition vote. In September of 2021, though, right before the Russian parliamentary elections, the Russian government demanded that Google remove the Smart Voting app from its Play Store. They threatened Google with legal consequences and even arrests of local employees if they didn't comply. So, Google caved to their demands and removed the app from the Play Store. Now, a year before Navalny had come out with this app, he was hospitalized after being poisoned by a nerve agent. Then, after being imprisoned on highly suspicious embezzlement charges, the Russian prison service comes out saying that he died after taking a walk and complaining about feeling ill earlier in the morning. Highly suspicious indeed.
If you were to hop on Google Earth, type in 2207 Seymour Avenue, and then turn on Street View, you would be greeted with an image of a blurred house located on a seemingly unassuming street. But there's a reason behind Google's decision to restrict users from viewing the home, and that is because it once belonged to a very bad man named Ariel Castro, who between 2002 and 2004 plucked 3 young women from the roads of Ohio and imprisoned them in that very home until he was arrested in 2013. Castro's first victim, Michelle Knight, was taken on August 23rd of 2002. On April 21st of 2003, Castro took his second victim, Amanda Berry, and on April 2nd of 2004, he captured his fourth, Gina De Jesus. For over a decade, he tormented and violated all 3 of the women, and even impregnated one, all while he was pretending to aid in the search of his captives alongside his fellow neighbor. On May 6th of 2013, Amanda managed to escape Castro's home and contact the police. He was arrested that same day. Castro was charged with 4 counts of forcible confinement and 3 counts of violation. However, he pled guilty to 937 counts of violation, as well as aggravated killing, which I can't get into because of YouTube guidelines. For his crimes, he was sentenced to life in prison plus 1,000 years without the possibility of parole, but he got off easy, as just 1 month into his life sentence, Castro took his own life inside of his prison cell.
Google Street View launched in 2007, and for just under a year, users were able to see a 360-degree view of various military bases throughout the United States, using this brand new feature. What a glorious 8 months it was. Then in March of 2008, the Pentagon crashed the party and had Google remove the images of the bases. I mean, some people might have thought this was shady, but I think it's completely understandable. I mean, they're military bases. Do you really want anyone from anywhere in the world to have the ability to scope these places out in detail from every angle, from the comfort of their own home? Yeah, it's a security risk, so they asked Google to take the images down. That doesn't mean I'm saying they're not hiding aliens in some of these places, though.
Hoping to get a quick glance at the Marcoule nuclear site? Well, too bad, because it's restricted by Google per the request of the French government, which is fair. I mean, it is the top nuclear research facility in France. There is something different about the way the facility has been censored, though, in comparison to other locations on Google Maps. You see, instead of being blurred out like other military bases like the ones James just mentioned, or the former home of Ariel Castro, the nuclear site is pixelated for some reason. Perhaps I'm reading into this, but the distinction is strange. Anyways, some not so fun facts about the Marcoule nuclear site. It exploded on Monday, September 12th of 2011. Well, part of it exploded anyway, specifically the furnace used to melt nuclear waste. The explosion caused the death of one man who was, and I quote, carbonized, which basically means his body was turned into charcoal. The explosion also caused serious injuries to 4 others, as well as a massive on-site fire. While the facility admitted that the explosion might have caused a low-level radiation leak, they assured the public that it was nothing to worry about. Okay. Sure. The reason for the explosion, however, was never revealed. But what is interesting about the tragedy is that it came just 1 week after the French president publicly knocked the anti-nuclear trend, which favors less unstable forms of energy above nuclear energy. I'm not saying that the two are related, but I'm not saying that they're not.
In 2003, Google decided to block a series of ads from the environmental group Oceana. The ads were targeting the cruise line Royal Caribbean for what Oceana saw as poor sewage treatment practices. But why did Google block these ads? Well, Google came out with a statement writing, "Google does not accept advertising if the ad or site advocates against other individuals, groups, or organizations." Oceana, of course, wasn't happy about this. They argued that their ads were factual and important for raising awareness about the environmental impact of cruise ships, and blasted Google for silencing their right to try and hold big companies accountable for pollution. As stated by Oceana's chief executive officer, Andrew Sharpless, "This is outrageous. For this company to claim to promote freedom of expression and yet deny us the right to effectively advocate against pollution is blatant hypocrisy." The question that leaves us with is why they chose to blunt our right to express ourselves, if not from cruise industry pressure.
There is no street view of North Sentinel Island on Google Maps, and for good reason. Not only are we restricted from viewing the islands on Google, but Google is restricted from documenting the island itself, and that is because North Sentinel Island is one of the most restricted islands in the whole entire world, and that is because it is inhabited by an uncontacted and highly protected and incredibly dangerous tribe of people. Uncontacted meaning that the natives of North Sentinel have had quite literally no extended contact with the outside world. Incredibly dangerous meaning that if you get too close to the shores of the island, they will kill you, rip your body into pieces, and then bury those pieces in the sand. It's happened before. In 2018, an evangelical missionary named John Allen Chow attempted to share the word of God with the island's natives. He was last seen alive paddling a rowboat to shore. He was last seen altogether the following day by fishermen near the island who spotted Chow's limp body being dragged across the sand by the natives. I have to say, Google Maps leaving this island undocumented is not something I'm overly torn up about. No one gets paid enough for that kind of job.
In China, Google is barely usable. Almost everything is met with heavy restrictions. Google followed China's censorship rules until 2010, filtering out results the Chinese government didn't like. This was part of the Great Firewall, a series of strict internet regulations enforced by the People's Republic of China. Now, Google complied in order to avoid getting blocked altogether, as had happened back in 2002. They promised not to share user info with the government though, and let users know when content was restricted. In 2009, Google came under fire from the Chinese government for allowing search results with explicit content and was ordered to block certain overseas websites. In January of 2010, after a cyber attack targeting Chinese descendants, Google announced that they were going to stop censoring results on China's version of Google. By March 2010, Google redirected Chinese Google users to Google Hong Kong, where search results were uncensored. But China's Great Firewall still blocked certain terms. Then in 2018, it was revealed that Google was now working on a new censored search engine for China called Project Dragonfly. This was a highly controversial project that led a number of Google employees to quit. The project has apparently been terminated, but Google is still highly filtered in the country.
Another thing you won't be able to find on Google: classified Pentagon documents leaked by 21-year-old National Guardsman Jack Teixeira, who not only stole these classified and highly sensitive documents from the Pentagon, but also posted said documents online on Discord, which is an instant messaging social media platform that allows for text messaging, video and voice calls, and mixed media sharing. The documents shared by Teixeira contained a mix of tactical statistics and battlefield maps drafted by the Pentagon staff. Statistics and maps that relate to current ongoing global conflicts. Big no-no. The whole thing is insane, and it's really baffling that a 21-year-old could have done this, but according to the government, Jack Teixeira is guilty, and will be spending the next 16 years of his life in federal prison, following a debrief with the Defense and the Justice Department of the United States, during which time he will likely be interrogated and forced to return whatever sensitive materials he might still have in his possession. While some images of the leaked documents do remain online, most of them have now been restricted by Google per the request of the United States government, which makes sense. They were plans about what they were gonna do in regards to an ongoing conflict. That's not something you want circulating the internet. Or is it?
So this should be obvious, but you won't find anything from the dark web using Google, which is totally fair. The dark web is the dark underbelly of the internet that many of us just have no desire to explore. We've all heard the legends, though, about all the stuff you can buy, which is pretty much everything. You can buy illicit substances, weapons, people. You can hire people to kill other people. It's just not a very fun place. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Alright, we've talked about what you cannot Google. Now let's discuss what you should not Google, especially when your name is Brian Walsh and you've just killed your wife. Let's get into this man's search history. How long before a body starts to smell? How to stop a body from decomposing. How to embalm a body. 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. How long for someone to be missing to inherit? Can you throw away body parts? What does formaldehyde do? How long does DNA last? Can identification be made on partial remains? I'm not done. Dismemberment and best ways to dispose of a body. How to clean BLOOD from a wooden floor. Luminol to detect BLOOD. What happens when you put body parts in ammonia? Is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them? Hacksaw. Can you be charged for killing without a body? And can you identify a body with broken teeth? Yeah, he really searched up all of those things. But to make matters even worse, Walsh made every single one of those searches on his son's iPad. Now, the Brian Walsh case is actually an ongoing case. His wife Ana was killed in 2003, so unfortunately I cannot yet say that Brian has been thrown into a cell and that the guards have thrown away the key, but I've got a pretty good feeling we all know how this trial is going to end.
People who kill people violently are typically not very smart.
Stay in school, friends.
Yeah, please do, and be careful out there on the World Wide Web. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.